In our previous lesson, we discussed several ways that an organist can adapt a hymn to the organ. We have covered the basics, of course, playing the bass line in the pedals and using swell shutters, for example, to help add volume and support in certain places of a hymn. We've talked about tying together certain inner voices to keep the hymn from sounding choppy. We've done all of these different things, and truly these are good techniques to know. Varying the textures, for example, that's a wonderful thing. But right now, I'd like us to return to the basics of the hymn, and try to listen here for the lyrical quality of the playing, your playing of the hymn. What I mean by lyrical quality is having a slightly elastic tempo that is indicative of how a person would sing the hymn. Let me ask you, have you ever actually sung the hymns that you lead at the organ? If you don't, it's time to start. Because when you sing a hymn, you're going to realize everything a vocalist realizes. The sense of how much breath you have remaining, the sense of struggling sometimes to reach the highest or lowest notes in a phrase, and the sense of phrasing itself. It's sort of related to breathing. And so an organist who sings will do quite well at translating that to the keyboard, and it will make for a very lyrical effect, which actually will support and draw your congregation to be better singers. I'm going to try this lyrical playing, thinking like a vocalist, as I play through the simple, straight hymn without any embellishment, which we used in our last lesson, Ellers. And see if you can feel and sense the, just from the touch, the slight separations of inner voices and the slight stretching, ever so slight. It's actually milliseconds in length if you were to measure it, but slight stretching when we get to that top note of a phrase or as we taper to the end of a phrase. It's not very much at all, and most people would never realize that it's happening, but it's a very beautiful and very essential technique that an organist must be sensitive to. Elastic tempo is something that is applied in very small amounts in hymn playing. You never want to get too far away from the tempo, because then that is just a rhythmic problem rather than elastic tempo. And one of the great things that an organist can do is to play the organ both from the vantage point of being a singer, so the organ feels as if it's singing, but at the same time to play the organ from the perspective of someone who is wanting to support and draw the voice out of the congregation. Elasticity and tempo can do this. And also articulation that is varied can help to propel the motion forward. I find that elastic tempo and articulation go hand in hand, because when articulation is broken up or made more open, this can propel the motion forward slightly, whereas if you're feeling the vocal line, like say a top note in a line or at the end of a phrase, that tends to pull us back. So there's this sort of balance between articulation and feeling the tempo bend. It's a subtle effect, and if you can latch onto this and express it in your playing, you've got one of the core elements mastered for playing the organ.